Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. George Foulkes, aka Lord Foulkes, has been complaining for some time now that the SNP government should not be spending public money on what is a party political matter, that is to say, independence. And he has suggested that this needs to stop immediately, but they have rebuffed him and ignored him and carried on spending the money. Well, he's now won, because a parliamentary committee on the Constitution in the House of Lords has agreed with him and has said that forthwith the Scottish Government should not spend public money on anything to do with independence because it's not in their gift to deliver. And that includes, of course, firing Jamie Hepburn, the Minister for Independence, because there's no way he should be paid at public expense to do a job which is actually undoable according to the law. So Jamie will have to go and find work elsewhere. That's a shame. £120,000 a year for a man like that to do nothing every day is, easy money, isn't it? Anyway, we'll have a look at this, see why George Foulkes has brought a bit of common sense, a bit of seriousness back into politics. And let's see if the SNP will do now what they're supposed to do and obey the law. Wouldn't hold my breath, though. Here goes. So, victory for Lord Foulkes as Lords confirm Humza Yousaf should stop spending public money on breaking up the UK. The First Minister could be on a collision course with the Permanent Secretary John Paul Marks, with the SNP leader now being urged to scrap the Minister for Independence role. Poor old Jamie Hepburn just got his feet under the table, nicely ticking away, earning his $120,000 a year, and all of a sudden it's going to stop if those weirdos in the SNP understand ever what the law means. But look at them, they haven't got a brain cell between them, have they? The SNP hopes of breaking up the UK have been dealt a major blow after the Scottish Government was told it should stop spending public money on non-devolved issues, such as independence. But of course they have to spend public money. They can't spend their own money. They haven't got any. They're broke, brassic, skint. They have nothing. A select committee on the Constitution at the House of Lords has even said that Scotland's chief civil servant, John Paul Marks, should raise work on reserve matters with Simon Case, the Cabinet Secretary for the Civil Service. In other words, putting a layer of control in there to say before you do anything, you've got to get it signed off by Westminster. Sounds reasonable to me. The committee said it welcomed Mr Case's commitment to provide further guidance to clarify that civil servants in the devolved administrations should work and spend public funds exclusively on matters within devolved competence. Oh, the SNP won't like that, will they? How can they possibly push their agenda of division and hate if they haven't got any money? A report published on Friday by the committee has been hailed as a major victory by Lord Foulkes of Cumnock, who has been leading calls in the Lords to rein in Scottish Government spending on the campaign for independence, because they were wasting millions of pounds all the time, everything through the lens of independence. And it's the one thing they just cannot deliver at all, ever. He told the Scottish Express the Nationalist executive should immediately ditch the Minister for Independence role, handed by Mr Yousaf to Jamie Hepburn. Little job for the boys there. And he also called for the government to close its so-called foreign embassies, very expensive rooms all over the world, just so that these people can feel important and traipse around and pretend that they're doing the business of government, when instead all they really are is a posh town council. In relation to the civil servants in both the Scottish and Welsh devolved administrations, the report stated, if the permanent secretaries in Scotland or Wales are concerned that civil servants are being asked to work on tasks outside devolved competence, they should raise this as an issue with the Cabinet Secretary as their line manager. The Cabinet Secretary should then be in a position to provide direction with respect to the Permanent Secretary's executive responsibility. What you have in that line is control over the civil service in the devolved assemblies. No one there will be allowed to do anything outside of the remit without extreme permission given from Westminster, from the Cabinet Secretary, which means a lot of it will just be banned because they try to push the envelope all the time. And if they then go ahead and do it, the costs will occur, but the costs will be charged to the parties, I suspect, because it's party political matters. So you charge it directly to the parties. Watch them change their tune then when they get a bill. Anyway, He added, in cases of uncertainty, the Permanent Secretary should seek a written direction from the relevant devolved minister. Written. That's the one, that's the key, and that'll bugger them. Half of them can't read. Welcoming the report, Lord Foulkes, who is a member of the committee, said now that the Constitution Committee has unanimously agreed that devolved governments should only spend money on devolved areas, the Scottish Government should immediately stop their improper spending on the Minister of Independence, overseas embassies and other reserved areas before the Chief Cabinet Secretary takes the action necessary to stop them. And there's Lord Foulkes. You know, it's occurred to me as he gets older, he's turning into Ken Stott, isn't he? I think it's mainly the nose, but the shape of the head and everything, it's Ken Stott. That's what Ken Stott will look like in about 10 years' time. Anyway, we previously told how the Scottish Government has deployed over 20 civil servants to work on the case for Skexit under Mr Hepburn. And he receives a salary of almost $100,000 a year, but plus expenses, it's about $120,000 a year. You add in all those 20 other people working under him, and it's millions of pounds a year. Money, I think, better spent on people, you know, in hospital, for example, or in education, anywhere other than that department. They are currently publishing a number of prospectuses, pointless, meaningless pieces of paper costing a lot of money, all relating to independence, which will never happen, and which have been ridiculed, of course, by critics and, of course, by all of us, because we all know, like, nice, shiny prospectus, meaningless. This is the sort of thing you need to do once you've actually won the vote and that you're planning how to deal with independence after you've had the referendum, which you're not going to get, and even if you did get, you'd lose. Anyway, we previously reported that Mr Case told the committee he was investigating the use of taxpayer money on non-devolved issues in relation to St Andrew's House. He said it would be unusual and a bit worrying if civil servants were using UK taxpayer money to try and break up the UK. The Scottish Government has been approached for a comment, but of course silence. Silence has fallen across the whole of Holyrood. They're all sitting there sullen, sad, crying into their porridge at the thought of losing all that lovely public money to push their agenda of division. And I am coming up. It will upset them. They know that the only way they can afford to do the things they're doing is if the public pay. And if the public aren't allowed to pay, they've got no option because they literally have no money themselves. They are broke. They can't then push this. They've got no option but to break the rules. If they want to push these things and keep pushing this and publishing this and pushing that and keep Jamie Hepburn, they've got to break the rules. And if they do that, there will be a reckoning. There will be punishments. And I think the punishment is that they are sent a bill. If they fail to pay the bill within 30 days, you take the SNP to court and get them wound up. Jobs are good 'un. And then that'll force another election because there is no party of power. It's cracking, isn't it? Anyway, we'll round off there. Thank you very much for watching. I do hope this has been educational as well as amusing, I think. I was certainly well amused by it. Great news. Anyway, until next time, stay safe, stay well. And let's always thank George Foulkes for all the hard work he's done. Let's hope it does some good. Bye.